Something happened. I had to pause that. This is still chapter 1. This is the second part. He would come out of that building every morning and head right for us. He had a power that astounded me. He could cause a section of the fence to swing wide open, letting him walk right into our pen. No matter how hard I tried, I never could figure out a way to do that myself. Walt would step through the fence, sit on the ground, and talk to my mother, Sadie. She'd lick his face and sniff his clothes before hurrying back to check on us. Walt would stay sitting on the ground, and my brothers and sisters and I always raced over to him. We piled into his lap and gnawed on his shirt and licked his fingers while he laughed. Once his hands caught me and held me belly up for a few moments while I wiggled indignantly. It was not comfortable. Plus, I couldn't snuggle into his shirt while he held me like that. Walt chuckled and turned me back over. He held me close to his face. I licked his nose and his chin and as much of his cheek as I could reach. Okay, boy. Toby, I think. I think you're a Toby. He set me down on the dirt again, but I clambered back up onto his lap while he picked up one of my sisters the same way he picked me up. I wasn't fooled, though. I knew I was his favorite. Tabitha, he said, putting my sister down. I seized hold of his shirt between my teeth and wrestled with it while he picked up more puppies. My other two sisters were named Tamara and Tess. My brothers became Titus and Timothy. It didn't matter what we were called. What mattered was that we were together, and we could run every day smelling the remarkable fresh fragrance that made my tail wag so madly it just about knocked me over in the dirt. I love that smell so much that after Walt left, I pressed my nose into the corner of our pen and stood there sniffing as hard as I could. The fence sagged a little under my weight, and that's when I noticed a gap between a post and the wire attached to it. I pushed my nose into that gap. It opened a little wider. My whole head followed my nose. I shoved with my back legs and scrabbled with my front claws, and then I was through. I was outside the fence. I was doing Walt's trick. My brothers and sisters, Tabitha, Tamara, Tess, Titus, Timothy, came racing over to see what had happened to me. It only took them a few moments to wiggle through the fence as well. Our mothers came to the gap and put her nose through, but she was too big to fit. She barked impatiently, warning us to come back. We couldn't return to the pen. There was so much running to be done. I dashed this way and that. Thick grass was tall enough to tickle my belly, dandelions batted my head, and a long skinny bug with powerful legs sprang right up in front of my nose. I stopped and sat down hard, and Tess crashed onto me. I barked at the bug as it whirred away in the grass. I chased it, and Tess chased me. Chasing things was the best. I couldn't find the bug again, but it didn't matter much because I was suddenly brought up against another pen with a wire fence like ours. There was no puppies inside this fence, however. Something different. Feathery animals that each had 2 scratchy, scaly feet. They were jerky, pecky birds that I would one day learn were called chickens. I barked at them to tell them I was Toby, to tell them they could come and play and run with us, but the chickens didn't seem to get the message. One of them shook her wings and stretched her neck and suddenly rushed to the fence right after me. I yelped. She was bigger than me, and she had a very sharp beak that pecked at my toes through the wires. I ran away. That chicken did not know how to play, but she was in a pen and I was out, so it didn't matter. Nothing mattered but tearing across that soft grass with my brothers and sisters, that delicious smell pouring in my nose as I ran. It was the smell of the whole world when I was running as fast as I could, the most wonderful thing in a place full of wonders. I was so busy with the smell that I didn't notice another scent creeping on me. I almost thumped right into a strange animal crouched in the grass. It was a female, I could smell that. It had wide, yellow eyes that stared at me, and it narrowed them as I got close. It looked interesting. My brother Timothy was right behind me, and he liked this new animal too. I think he noticed just as I did the way her back legs were bunched underneath her, and the way her muscles all along her back were tight. She was ready to jump, to spring away. That meant we could chase her. I slowed down. Step by step I went closer to this new animal. Timothy was right beside me. And any moment now she was going to run away. I just knew it. Another step closer. Another. The animal had triangular ears that stood up straight on her head. But when I took another step, she put those ears flat back against her skull and opened her mouth. I thought she was going to bark, but instead she let out a strange, threatening hiss. What animal is that, I wonder? Her tiny teeth looked sharp. It was such a confusing sound I stopped, trying to figure out what she meant. Timothy didn't stop, though. He kept going. The animal's fur fluffed up on her back, making her look suddenly bigger. I began to think that Timothy might not have the right idea here. Suddenly, the animal let out a screech that hurt my ears. Then she did something truly surprising. She didn't run away. She didn't let us chase her. Instead, she shot out a paw and batted Timothy hard on the nose. He was so surprised he fell over. I hurried to his side and sat on him. It just seemed like the right thing to do. He wiggled out from under me and chewed on my leg, and when we both looked up, the animal was calmly licking the paw she had used to swat Timothy. She clearly had no idea how to play. We decided to punish her by ignoring her. I chased Timothy back toward the chickens, and he turned around and chased me back toward the pen. Walt was waiting there, and he scooped me up in his big hands. "Escape artist, huh?" he asked me, and he plopped me back inside the pen. Timothy trotted in a few seconds later. My other littermates were already there, curled up with our mother for some dinner, and I guess you learned to leave the cat alone. I barreled over to join my family. I loved my mother's milk as much as I loved running through the grass with that wind in my nose. I loved discovering the chickens and the other animals. I loved falling asleep in a warm pile with a brother on either side of me and a sister's head in the middle of my back. I loved everything except that cat.